Greetings, Jatin. Hey, I miss you too. Greetings, Love Magnets. We are doing an energetic recap of 2025. We have learned some major lessons this year. Major lessons this year. It's been an explosive year. It's been a very up and down year. There have been so many things that have changed in the world and threatened to change in the world. And you guys, if I could recap everything that was learned in 2025 and just bring it down to one phrase, I would say that phrase is energetic sovereignty. Energetic sovereignty. Okay. And energetic sovereignty means that you are sovereign. You make the decisions in what you will allow your energetic state to be. Okay. What you will allow your emotions, your thoughts, your words, and your actions to be centered around. Guys, one of the first videos that I made about 2025 was two videos. Two of the first videos that I made about 2025 was surrounding the election in the US. There was so much fear in the air here, right? So much worry about what was going to happen next. So I made two videos about it. One was called The Illusion You're Choosing, and the other one was called Election Day, Reject the Frequency of Fear. Both of those videos were very powerful and contained some very powerful concepts. And I encourage y'all to go back and watch those. Okay. If you didn't remember those things or practice those things, or even if you did, practice them again. Okay. Because we're still in a tumultuous time. Okay. And that's not nearly over. That's not nearly over. Okay. But we talked about two major things. One thing that I was saying was do not play it small. Do not play it small. Do not begin to think about how you can make your life smaller to fit into a scenario that seems to be contracting. Okay. And what I mean by that is that when the new administration took over, people were so worried about the economy, what's going to happen with jobs, what's going to happen with tariffs, what's going to happen with all our immigrants, and all of the things that we have actually seen play out with ICE. Okay. And all of these things have been very, very difficult for the collective. Okay. Extremely difficult times. However, the message that I was getting in spirit was do not play it small. Don't start bowing down to the ideas of what could happen, right? Because a lot of things can happen. But if you focus your mind on going backwards and living less, that's exactly what will happen. That's exactly what will happen for you. And you won't be able to see any other possibility. If you attach yourself to that energy and get in that flow of reducing the amount of enjoyment that you have in your life, that's exactly what's going to happen. The other thing that we talked about was harnessing the free range energy that was in the air, because there were so many people that were upset about the election, and the party that they wanted to win the election didn't win. But there were also so many people that were happy about the election because the person that they wanted to win did win, right? Or the party that they wanted to win did win, right? So one of the things that we demonstrated, that we talked about and demonstrated in those two videos, The Illusion You're Choosing and Election Day, Reject the Fear of Frequency, was, or the frequency of fear, was how to tap into that victory energy, right? And to sort out, see, it doesn't matter whether that energy of victory in the air belongs to someone who agrees with you or who thinks differently than you. That doesn't matter, none whatsoever. We talked about how to tap into that energy of victory and use that energy, the excitement in the air, toward your own manifestation. And you can do this at any time. We talked about how you can do this at holidays. You can do this at any event, like a football game, like the Super Bowl or a concert. Any day where lots of people are celebrating, you can tap into that excitement that's in the field. And when you sense that you have locked in, you have identified that excitement in the field, you can hold that frequency and begin visualizing all of the things that you want to manifest. Okay? But that is an aspect of energetic sovereignty, that no matter what it looks like around you, no matter how the circumstances appear, you can be among the people that are manifesting their desires. So one thing that I've talked about time and time and time again on this channel is that manifestation is dependent upon four things aligning: your emotions, your thoughts, your words, and your actions, right? They need to be aligned with your desired outcome. Now, if you look back at 2025, I can guarantee you that the areas of your life in which you have experienced expansion, in which you have made progress toward your goals, toward your desired outcomes for your life, those are the areas in which you have been most consistent with your emotions, your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Think about that. If you can think with me right now and tell me in the chat, what are some areas in your life that have improved? And if those areas in your life are the areas where you've been unwavering, you've been the most consistent with your emotions, your thoughts, your words, and your actions, give me some fire in the chat. Now, when I say consistent with your emotions, that one can seem really, really big, right? Mental strength. Yes, I see that. That's an excellent one. Okay. Somebody else give me some comments. What's some areas in your life that have improved? And I'm glad you said mental strength, Jatan, because when I say your emotions need to be consistent with your desired outcome, that can seem really big. And it is big, because a lot of times what we desire seems really, really far away, and it can be difficult to believe or to feel, to tap into the feeling of victory in that area of your life. But in order for you to be successful in that area of your life and to get to that desired outcome, you are going to have to address whatever it is that is causing you to have that mental blockage with even being able to picture success, victory, progress in that area of your life. Why is it that you don't believe that can happen for you? When and where did you learn that that particular thing is not for you? That's healing work. That's healing work. Because if you allow yourself to continue to, if you don't recognize the emotion, then your thoughts will follow that emotion. You'll find yourself speaking things that align with that emotion. And your actions will be more in alignment with that emotion than with your desired outcome. Okay? That is super duper important. Yes, I see the fire in the chat. Absolutely. Super duper important. Okay? Now, there have been so many ups and downs all over the world, right? All over the world. And this channel is for awakening healers. Awakening healers. Okay? So as an awakening healer, it's super duper important for us to realize that the things that we're going to see come to fruition, which what we desire to see to come into fruition is a new earth, right? A concept that we all know is new earth. If we allow ourselves to get mentally sidetracked by systems that are falling, right? By the chaos that's happening, then that chaos and that fear frequency that's being so rapidly pumped out is going to be the dominant frequency in your field. And the dominant frequency in your field is what comes to pass. Okay? So somebody in the chat is saying Jesus loves you, and I'm glad you made that comment. Okay? Going with that thought, there is a scripture in the Bible for my Bible readers that says what is lovely and what is pure and of a good report. Keep your mind on these things. Okay? Isn't that exactly what we're talking about? Because somebody knew, right? Somebody knew that. These are the things that you will actually see come to pass in your life. So we can't allow for all of the threats, all the things that it looks like may happen to be what we're thinking on. We can't be rehearsing all the negative outcomes that could happen in our minds. So we have to be willing to disconnect. Be willing to disconnect from that vein of thinking. Okay? So another concept that we talked about on this channel this year was the fear of leaving people behind. Okay? The fear of leaving people behind. And that's also very relevant to 2025. If you're trying to keep your vibes up and everybody around you is talking about all the negative things that are going on, you may have to disconnect from some of those conversations. You may have to disassociate yourself from some people who are negative. If you have gone through that process in 2025 of disassociating yourself from some people who are dragging your energy, just dragging you down, depleting your energy, trying to drag you into negative conversations, always reporting on what's negative, constantly expressing their fears about what is happening or what may happen next. Give me some fire in the chat. Give me some fire in the chat. It's absolutely necessary to reposition your reposition people in your life who are no longer feeding you energetically. Okay? And I'm saying reposition because what's popular in the culture is to just go around cutting everybody off, right? Until you become the queen or king of the cutoff, right? But that's not always the answer. And it's not always possible. See, when as you begin to grow and you have your mind made up that, hey, I'm going to keep my mind on my desired outcomes. I'm going to align my emotions, my thoughts, my words, and my actions with my desired outcomes. What starts to happen is that other people around you who are not in that same frame of mind start to feel foreign to you. You have less and less things to talk about. You may not want to go the places they're going. You may not want to do the things that they're doing. You don't want to spend your time and your energy in the same ways that they're spending their time and energy. So your vibration is here, and maybe their vibration is here. So what forms between you is a vibrational gap, a gap in frequency. Okay? Now, this could be your loved one. This could be a friend that you have been friends with for a very long time. This could even be a parent. Do you just cut them off despite the value of that relationship? The value that person has played in your life? If they're not hurting you, but they just have not made that shift yet, the answer may be to reposition them in your life. It could be a parent, exactly. The answer may just be to reposition them in your life. Okay? Maybe we don't talk every single day anymore, or we don't talk as long. Or when we get together, we're getting together to do something positive rather than sitting around and talking about the same old crap that we always talk about, or watching, a negatively charged television show, or whatever it is that you do together. So I had to make a grown-up decision this year that I was going to get out and do some new things in my city. And I'm at a place in my life where I have manifested, I have attracted what I call soul family, right? Some of my soul family is in the chat right now, okay? Big hugs, big love to my soul family. But I find that this is a group of people that is newer in my life, but I also have friends that have been in my life for 10 or 15 years. And we don't think alike anymore. We don't talk alike anymore. And the places that they want to go and the things that they call fun are not fun to me anymore. It's not a comfortable environment for me anymore. So I had to get on social media and find the creative crowd, people that like to write, people that like to paint, people that like to do things I like to do, people that are into nature, right? And make some new connections and venture out. I've even gone to some places by myself, to some events by myself, and that's not typical for me. But guess what happened when I got there? Automatically, I made new friends. And I felt so much better when I left those events because I had made a choice. I had taken agency in how I will spend my personal time. And it's not when we start to change and grow, it's not the responsibility of other people around us to change and to start to do things that's gonna suit the direction, that's gonna fit into the direction we're going. It's our responsibility to do that, right? So perhaps you just reposition the people that are in your life, and maybe you don't spend the same amount of time, the same kind of time, but when you do talk to them, you can report back about the new things that you found that are making you happy in your life and the progress that you're having in your life. And guess what? It's going to embolden them. It's going to give them courage. It's going to inspire them. Because a lot of them want to make changes too. They just may not be sure how to do that. So when you're consistent in your journey, people around you start to notice the change in your life. People will start to notice your glow. People start to notice that your energy feels different. They may notice that you don't react the same to the same environment. We're all living in the same world. We're all seeing the same headlines. They'll notice that you're not getting drugged down like they are. And eventually, many of them are going to ask you, what are you doing? What are you on? I want some of that. Right? And then is your opportunity to share a little bit with them, but don't try to shove it down their throats. You don't have to try to convert anybody. Okay? You don't have to do that because that's annoying. But you can share with them what it is that you began to do. That maybe you've began meditating. Maybe you started doing sound baths. Maybe you began eating differently. Right? Maybe you could share a YouTube video that inspired you. Right? Okay, so let's talk about something else about energetic sovereignty, another aspect of energetic sovereignty, and something that happened this year that was a big learning opportunity. Okay? A big learning opportunity, you guys, was the Diddy trial. Okay? The Diddy trials were all in the news, especially if you live here in the US. Okay? I know not all of my audience lives in the US, so briefly I'll explain. There's a guy who is a mogul in the hip hop industry. He was on trial for some really bad, some bad charges, and he was accused by a lot of people. Some did make it into the trial, some didn't. That he was accused of SA. If you know what that stands for, we can't say it here on YouTube. But and some really horrible things. And there was also a documentary about him that came out on Netflix a couple of weeks ago. So, one thing that we saw play out with this trial, you guys, was that a lot of people were accusing him of doing horrible things to them, assaulting them in various ways, right? But one thing that you saw time and time again in this trial, as people were giving their testimonies, was that these people said that they were drugged, to the point that they went unconscious, that they were, threatened, that they were, touched in ways that they didn't want to be touched. They were not paid for work that they were doing, but 99% of them said that these things happened and that they kept coming back to work with this man, kept doing work for him. They stayed in the band. They stayed in the studio. They stayed in the relationship. They stayed in proximity to him. Okay? Now, this is not about, victim blaming or shaming or any of that. But I am pointing out that these people said, well, I was afraid I was going to lose my opportunity. He was my connection to my opportunity to become famous, to make money, to do whatever. And they saw him as their source of success, the source of, realizing their dreams, the source of every opportunity in front of them, not their own gifts. They didn't see their own gifts as the source, not the hard work that they had put into developing their gifts into a skill, and not the source of all creation. They saw him as the source. They had abandoned their energetic sovereignty. So, you guys, this is super important, because if you are not grounded in who you are, and if you are not clear in your sense of self, if you do not have a strong sense of self, and you do not have your own limits and boundaries placed around what you will and will not do, or what you will or will not allow in your life, it can lead you to some very dark places. Some very dark places. If you are, disregarding your intuition, if you're feeling, oh, something feels off, something's not right, but I don't want to lose this opportunity, that can lead you to some very dark places. It can get you hurt. It can get you hurt in more ways than one. Okay? It can lead to you being physically hurt. It can lead you to harm coming to your mental health, your finances, right? So we really need to be clear in terms of energetic sovereignty. You got to see the work that you're doing, the skills that you are developing to manifest your desired outcomes, as the source of your opportunities. the source of your peace, the source of your joy. Not anything external. Okay? Now, we're going through a time, you guys, like I said, the upheaval, the collapse of these systems that we live in are nowhere near over. Nowhere near over. Okay? Another thing that has come about and become very popular, and it has not yet come to a head. Like I said, it's not over, but is this deconstructionist movement that's happening within the Christian church. Okay, lots of people are leaving churches in droves, in droves. Okay, and I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing. I'm just telling you what is. Okay. And I have a sense, I'm not big on predictions, but I have a sense that there will be some more exposures of information to come out that's really going to disturb some people. Is really going to disturb some people mentally and emotionally. Okay. And it's already begun. I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna give you one example. One example of that process that's gonna unravel the core of people's beliefs is we're seeing all of this disclosure about extraterrestrials, about UAPs, right? That type of information really rocks people at their core. Really rocks people at their core. We had another situation that happened in 2025. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, disclosure, look it up. There were government meetings held about things that had been seen in the sky that they could not explain. There were also, it was also disclosed that there were bodies in those crafts that were recovered. That type of information rocks people to their core. Another thing that's worthy of mentioning is that there were a lot of people who thought the rapture was this year. People were literally giving away their belongings because they thought that because of something, a prophecy or something, I guess, that this was it. Right? Can you imagine being one of those people that believe so strongly that they were about to be raptured, that they were going to be, with their creator, that they gave away all their belongings? Can you imagine how they felt when that didn't happen? Those people question everything. They question everything, that they believe. And a lot of people were making fun of them. But I have a lot of compassion for those people. Because I know what it is to question what you believe. And a lot of us do, right? A lot of us that watch this channel have been at a point in our lives where, we've been called to question what we were taught when we were growing up, right? Hi, Elmira. Hey, hey. But yeah, that's not an easy place to be in. Okay. So there are all kinds, different types of information that are coming out. We got all kind of information coming out about the pyramids and what's beneath the pyramids. Amara says, yeah, we got to question it all, expand what we know every now and then. Exactly. Exactly. Be willing to question what you know, because your thoughts, your actions, your thoughts, your words, and your actions are all based in what you know and what you believe. But your thoughts and words and actions are also what determine what you manifest in your life. So we have to question it all, as Elmira says. Okay. Now we also have a huge uprising, and this is going to be the last thing that I mention in terms of energetic sovereignty. Last point of the video. So if you have questions, please submit your questions now. Put your questions in the chat. But we had a huge expansion of AI this year. Okay. AI is leaps and bounds ahead of where it was a year ago. Everywhere you look, it's AI, right? And some people are big proponents of AI, but there are also people who are very leery of AI, distrustful of AI, and afraid of AI. They're afraid that AI is going to put them out of a job. They're afraid that AI is going to invade their privacy. They're afraid that AI is going to be able to like rule humanity and take over humanity. And I want to say a couple of things about this. Okay? Write this down. AI will do what humanity allows. Okay? It's going to go as far as humanity allows. Okay? Now, there's a certain, I'm going to give an example. And I'm not going to say a name, but hopefully you can catch on to what I'm talking about. Okay? There's a certain company that has become a major staple in American life. I'm not sure if they're overseas yet. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised. But a company that will deliver anything you want to your house. Okay? Somebody can put it in the chat. You know what I'm talking about. But a company that will deliver anything to your house. You can order whatever. Food, a couch, um, craft items. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want. You can choose to hop online and order whatever you want. Books, any type of products. Yes. Groceries, yes. You can get anything from this company. And it has become a huge part of American life, a huge convenience, especially when we were all locked down. You know, if you weren't already using this company to have everything delivered to your house, you were using this company. Okay. And they're huge, and they have distribution centers all over the country, which makes it very convenient because you can get whatever you want anywhere from within a few hours to a few days, right? People have made so much money becoming sellers on this platform. It's a huge part of American life, and I've been part of that. I love to get a box of something that I ordered, and I love to, you know, order things I loved it. I loved to be on there shopping, ordering stuff, and then I'd get a second thrill when it came to me, when it's delivered to my door. It's like it's like having Christmas twice. It's like I get one thrill when I'm shopping, another when I'm actually decide on my purchase, and then you get another thrill when it actually comes and you're ripping the box open. My garage is, I got a lot of boxes in my garage right now, right? That I need to recycle. But this company just laid off a lot of people that were, working and making a living, supporting their families, working for this company. They just laid off a lot of people because they're now using AI, robots, all of this kind of stuff. Now, will we as a people continue to support that platform? Right? Well, all the people who say they're against AI and they're against robots and that they're going to take over and we're going to lose our jobs and yada, 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 are you going to stop ordering from the platform? I'm not saying you should. I'm just asking. Tell me what Elmira's making a statement about psychological programming and their logo. I want to know what you mean with that. But if you believe that and your desired outcome is that people don't lose their jobs because of AI and robots, are you going to keep supporting that system? Think about it now. This matters in every area of your life. Your desired outcome is that people keep their jobs and that humans keep connecting with each other as humans rather than being replaced uh-huh, by AI and robots. I see that comment, Myra. Yes, I agree. I agree. I'm not going to say it out loud. You never know what'll get you flagged these days. So that's why I say AI and robots and all that is going to go, that revolution is going to go as far as humanity will let it. Okay. And the second thing is I'm going to take us back to rejecting the fear frequency. Okay. And I'm going to make a point now. I'll end with this point is that human evolution will always outpace technology. Okay? It's always going to outpace technology. Okay? I want you to think about a few examples. When I was raising my children, well, I'll go back to when I was being raised, when I was a child. My mother made sure that I didn't watch a whole lot of TV because she said it's going to turn your brain to mush. It's going to corrupt your mind, right? And yes, you need to, limit your time on TV. But depending on how you use TV can expand your mind, right? Yeah. It depends on how you use it. It can rot your brain or it can expand your mind, right? When my kids were coming up, Game Boys were a big thing. I did not want my kids to have Game Boys and all that stuff, all the video games, which are still a big deal. But my kids are still really smart. They're still really smart, even though they got their hands on Game Boys and game consoles and all those things, right? Now, I want to show y'all something, and you can look this up. My parents are in their 60s, okay? And in the age that my parents were born, babies were born with their eyes closed, okay? Babies were born with their eyes closed. And it would be 6 weeks or more before they ever opened their eyes. And when they did open their eyes would be discolored. It wouldn't be, if you're going to have, dark eyes, like how my eyes are. When the baby first opened their eyes may have looked bluish or whatever. They would look discolored. It wouldn't be the color that their eye was going to develop into. And babies could not focus their eyes. So they would go through stages, eyes closed, then their eyes would be open but discolored and unable to focus. Then they would finally be able to focus. Okay? After having been here for a few months. Babies also could not hold up their own heads. They had real weak necks. Little babies were like little bobbleheads. You have to hold up the head or they'll just, the head will just fall over like that. Okay? If you're old enough to remember this, give me some fire in the chat. Babies were very different back then. Okay? Now, when my children were born, they were born and they were opening their eyes right away, and they could focus immediately. Okay? Within a couple of weeks, they were holding their heads up. It did not take months. Okay? Now, look at these kids today. Look at these babies today. Get online and look at some newborns. They are coming out with their eyes wide open. They are very focused. They have, these kids will stare you down so hard, it will make you uncomfortable. Okay? They're very aware of what's going on around them in the room. Yes, Amara says they're composing whole songs at age 6 or 7. Yes. And they know how to use these devices. They're getting on the devices and doing FaceTime and making phone calls at 2 and 3 years old. Right? Human evolution is always going to outpace technology. Why? Technology is only copying, imitating nature, imitating what Source created. And Source created us. Elmira says, my boyfriend's nephew instantly knew how to DJ. He's 5 years old. Perfect example. But technology is always imitating, is patterning itself after nature. Okay? If you look at Wi-Fi, you look at the internet, this is waves of energy that we cannot see, right? But we have the proof, just like you're watching me now on this device, that the signal is going from one place to another, right? Now we see this in nature. You can feel somebody's signal. You can feel their energy when they enter the room. You can think of someone and they call you. I'll give you an even better example. Look at how the animals communicate in nature. Animals communicate with one another from miles and miles apart. There was an experiment that was done with monkeys in one part of the world and monkeys in another part of the world. When they taught the monkeys in one part of the world how to use a certain tool to open it was a nut or fruit, something they were eating, the monkeys in another part of the world started doing the same thing without being taught how to do it. Look at how whales communicate with each other from hundreds and hundreds of miles away. Look at how trees communicate with each other. Trees pass water to one another through their root system underground. Yeah. Now, how did the tree closest to the water know that the tree farthest from the water wasn't getting any water? Right? Like, how did he know? You guys, you do not have to be fearful. I'm going to say be wise, but you do not have to be fearful about AI and robots and all this stuff. Okay? It's not something to be fearful of. And if they do take our jobs, if they do continue to invade our privacy or whatever, when what we're typing is no longer secure, that will be the moment that we become telepathic. See, everything around us evolves according to necessity. You have certain birds that have wings but don't fly because their food is on the ground. Their food source is on the ground. Birds whose food source is up high, guess what they do? Fly. Yeah, it's a darn good point, isn't it? If you look at at fossils and that whole vein, if you study the evolution of animals and people, we have consistently evolved according to necessity. And we've already been told that we only use less than 5% of our brain? You don't think the rest of our brain is going to come online when it becomes a necessity? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. And many of you are experiencing these things now, increasingly. Increasingly. When you think of someone, they call you, right? Or you're having a conversation with someone and, or you're just in the room with someone. Next thing you know, they say the very thing that you were thinking, or you say the thing they were thinking. They do exactly what you knew they were about to do. Yes, Amara says we're capable of so much more. We absolutely are. We absolutely are. We have so much of what they call junk DNA. Personally, I believe it's going to be activated by the activity of the sun and the planetary alignments. Whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong, we'll see. We'll see. All right, y'all. I'm gonna let it go for tonight. Thank y'all so much for joining me in this conversation. Energetic sovereignty. Energetic sovereignty was the theme that I see for 2025. Okay? Take charge of your energy field. Take charge of your energetic field. Do not allow your environment to determine how you feel, what you think, what you speak, or what you do. You have your own connection to God, Creator, Source, and you have a link through your intuition, and I want you to follow that. Okay? If something's telling you that there's more out here, then there's more out here for you. Okay? If something's telling you not to be afraid, then you don't have to be afraid. I don't care what everybody else is doing. And then again, if something's telling you to run, to leave, to evacuate, to make a change, to stop eating this, stop drinking that, then that's what you need to do. Okay? It doesn't matter what anybody thinks, how it looks to anybody else. Okay? Jatin said this is an interesting and amazing broadcast. I'm learning so much. Thank you, Pangea. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. I love y'all. Mwah. And I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to be on because next Tuesday is New Year's Eve. But and I'll be traveling. I'm planning to travel. So if I'm coming on, you'll get a notification. Love you guys. See you soon.